G'day guys, Chris here from Vo-Gus Prospecting. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're an old hat, welcome back. Today, we're going to do test panning. We're going to show you what you should be doing in a new creek to identify the pay streak and get the best possible gold results for your day. Test panning is a really interesting beast. It doesn't matter what kind of creek you're on, and today I'm on a really little one of my favorite creeks. It all comes down to where you look and how you follow that lead. So what we're going to do is show you where to take your gold pans from, what indicators and indications to look for, and how to basically follow that lead upstream. Now, to do that, what we want to be looking for is obvious spots of low pressure. And what I've got right here is a low pressure system. I've got a slight inside bend, very slight inside bend, with a large obstruction. You can see that the water comes up and over the top with these reeds pushed down too. So this would be a likely spot to start. And that's what we want to do. We just want to find that likely spot, and that's where it all begins. So let's take a test pan from here and see what we get. Well, isn't that interesting? First shovel straight off the top, and we're getting really dense clay with no rock in it, which is a good indication that that is the bottom of the actual creek bed. Lots of gravels, different colored clays as well, and these are all things to take note of. Normally when you dig the first shovel, it's just straight up overburden. It's normally just rock, but you should always pan that, because that will tell you if there's been any recent flood gold deposited. And if there's flood gold deposited, there's a good chance that gold in the past will have been deposited. That's a very cool first pan to get. So let's pan it off, see if there's any shiny yellow. Alrighty. So we're not just looking for gold. When you're test panning, you're looking for indications of where the gold is sitting. Indications of things like black sand, ironstone, heavy materials, even nails, anything that could potentially sit at the same level as gold. So we're not just looking for gold, we're looking for the other things that sit with it. All right, we've got one little bit of gold in there, just there. Oh, another bit. All right, so we've got two little bits of gold, first pan of the day. That's really cool, but the important stuff is down here. What we have here is ironstone. So ironstone for this creek will be an indicator that there will be gold present, or it might be the sign that we're getting closer to the pay layer level. And that's one of the things you want to look for, because next time you come on this creek, you won't have to do all your test pans. You'll just know that as soon as you start seeing lots of ironstone, you're probably going to start seeing lots of gold. Well, we've got two little bits for the first one. To find the pay streak, after we find the indicators, we need to move left and right and then up and down the stream. Left and right will find us our highest possible speck count. Where first shovels came out just here, all I've done is move one shovel width across and dig from here. Now, I call it trenching. There's probably a lot of different names for it, but what you want to do is basically cut a trench across the entire width of that creek, or the entire width of where you think that low pressure system is. To identify that, I usually look for the biggest gravels. If there are really large rocks compared to every other rock that's on that gravel bar, inside band, behind the obstruction, whatever it might be, if there are large rocks, dig across that channel and a little bit further into the smaller gravels as well. And that's usually where your pay streak is. And it'll tell you, you'll be told by the speck count in your pan. So the first pan we got one or two specks, then it ran out because we bottomed out. I've moved across just one shovel width, or about a foot across, and we've got a ton more clay. So it's not just a little bit of clay like we had last time, there's a ton of it, and that's a much better indication that there's going to be gold there. Didn't pan it down as much as I normally would because the gold claws get rid of a lot of the heavies and whatnot that you don't need, like the black sand. They're very, very good at doing that. So we've got a little bit more to pan off, but straight away, tons more ironstone. So we've got a lot more clay, now we've got a lot more ironstone. Does that equal more gold? That is the question. Oh yeah, it does. I hope you can see that on camera. We have about 10 little dots there. There's not tons, but there's about 10 micro specks. So more clay, more ironstone, and it equaled more gold. So we know that moving this way across the creek, as opposed to moving this way across the creek, is going to net us more gold per pan. And that's what we want to see. So once you get your highest spec count, you can start moving upstream. I'm going to keep going left and right. I'll cut all the way across the creek, and then we'll make our decision on whether or not we want to move up or downstream. All right, we have identified the signs, the indicators of gold, and we've found the pay streak. Let me explain. Over here is bedrock. I can't dig there. This is obviously a floodplain where it comes down from the creek and washes this all out, and there's no soil just there. Just here is where I found my best spec count. I found about 10 pieces of gold in one pan. Here I found 2, and I moved over here, I found 1, and then I moved over here and I found 0. So we know that the best concentration of gold is right there, and we were looking for ironstone and red clay. The next step is to look upstream, which is the direction I'm going to go, or downstream if you wanted to do it that way. I'm going to look upstream and I'm going to identify the next low pressure point. And I'm going to try and draw the straightest possible line between the two, using things like heavy rocks as indicators. Now, another tip you could do is bring a metal detector out, scan the whole creek bed between where you did your test pans across the creek to your next point, like your next inside bend, and mark every signal you get, and there will be a relatively straight line between the two. And that is another way of doing it. It doesn't matter if it's gold, it could be nails, tin, iron, whatever. They're heavy and they're going to drop out in the same place as gold are going to drop out. So if you don't have large rocks to use and you have got a detector, that is definitely a really good way of doing it. So let's do it. Let's see if we can't find that direct line. This is where I found the best bit of gold, just here. We're going to look straight up. Now, seeing this on the old GoPro is probably going to be a little bit hard. I can see a couple of things here. I have got a big rock just up there, just there. I've got another big rock just about here, which you might be able to see. I've got another one on this inside bend, just there. And then that all makes a pretty straight line. So here's the trick. It's just going to be just out of the flow. I'm going to dig a hole on this side of the creek, just in there, and that's going to be in between me and the next major inside bend, and we're going to see if we can't pick up that pay streak. There was my hole where I found the 10 bits of gold. I've come straight upstream, and this is where I want to dig, just here. Now, yeah, this is a low pressure system. There's definitely a good chance that there could be accumulated gold, but we're not looking for that. What we're looking for is heavy gravels, which are pretty easily identified just here. We've got a big rock here. We've got another hand-sized rock here, hand-sized rock here, another one that I was just standing on, just there. And this is right where I said I wanted to dig just out of the current, so just here. And it's in between the next major inside bend, which is just up there. We're looking for the indicators again. We're going to dig down until we find orange clay and ironstone, and that's where the gold should be if there is a pay streak here. I don't know if you saw much of that, but lots of large rocks came out just here, and we just hit the layer where it's starting to get sticky. So it's not clay yet, but it will be in the very near future. So that's why we're going to start here. For the same sort of indicators, we got a little bit of clay there. I actually had to break it up with my hands, which is pretty cool. So we got a little bit of clay. We have got a touch of ironstone just there. They're these dark rocks just here. Oh, we got gold. I wasn't expecting that on my first one. We got a lot of gold. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 bits of gold. They're only little. They're all just here. Let's see if I can't get the camera on them. There's one of them. So we got gold. We picked up the pay streak almost straight away. The shovel was only just touching the top of the clay though, so let's do another one and see if we can't get the same result from the sticky clay. Then once again, we're going to move left and right across the creek and see if that pay streak intensifies at any point. I've done 2 more pans out of that hole on the same line, and it's sitting pretty consistent between 6 and 7 specks of gold per pan. And now what we're going to do is cut left and right, because again, we might be just off it. We might be just hitting the edge of that pay streak, and we want to find out if that pay streak is just here, just here, just here. So we're going to go all the way across, and we'll find it again. And then we'll be able to really confidently draw a line between our first spot, where we've got 10 specks, and our second spot. We have now cut across the creek. We started just here is where I took my first shovel from, and it was directly and roughly in line with my spot that was just down there, and we picked out an average of 7 specks for 2 pans. I moved across, that dropped to 3, and then I moved all the way. By the time I got out here, it's dropped to my current state. Now, I had the same indicators in my pan, orange clay and ironstone. However, I'm off the pay streak, and this is clearly shown. There's some ironstone, lots of little black sand that you might not be able to see, and we've only got 2 little bits of gold in there. I'll probably have a graphic showing you exactly where they are, but 2 bits of gold. So that says to me that the pay streak was where my first shovel was. Now, here's the kicker. The more places that you test in a stream between 2 points, the better of an idea you'll have of where that pay streak is, and the better your results will be. So we got 10 specks sitting just in behind this rock just there. We've come up about 5 meters and dug a hole just there for 7 specks. So let's dig in the middle again, in between those two, and I reckon that line is coming down somewhere about there. We'll dig right in between, so it'll be about 2.5 meters apart, and if we find the same spec count, we're on that pay streak. It's really interesting trying to make a informational video on a thing that somewhat requires a little bit of luck, right? I found the pay streak. I'm on it. We've got one. They're only tiny little dots here. See if I can't get any of them in focus. Any at all? No, I tried there, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 specks of gold in there. Very little, very fine gold. Exactly what I was saying earlier in the video. This creek only has fine gold, but just here, the bedrock is only maybe half a shovel depth down. You can see this. It's a real sandstony base, and this is actually the bedrock. It's not actually clay just there. That's it decaying. And that means that there was no soil. So I had soil depth there, and I had soil depth just there, but I've got nothing in between here, which makes it really poor to bloody show you. It shows you, we dug here, we got 2 specks. We dug here, we got 8 specks. It's directly in line with that hole there where we got 10, and it's directly in line with the hole up there where we got an average of 6 to 7 specks. So theoretically speaking, we could draw a line that goes straight down here, and we would be able to follow that with a sluice or a high banker and be able to pick up all the gold on that pay streak without working any of the crap surrounding it. Well, there you have it, guys. That is how you follow the pay streak up a stream. The reason you want to be following it too is because on days where you can work out areas like this very quickly, you might be only spend 10 minutes there with a sluice, quickly getting rid of most of the gold. That means that instead of just going up to the next point of high concentration, you could follow that high concentrated lead all the way to your next spot, and that will definitely increase your gold. Remember that the pay streak isn't wide. It might only be a centimeter, half a centimeter, wide, and you need to really locate where it is. Once you do that though, you can follow it, and following it will lead you to pockets of gold that you didn't even know existed. That is the really cool thing about following the pay streak. Remember that there are a couple of things that you have to do if you want to get it right. You want to find the indicators. The indicators are things like heavies, black sand, ironstone, nails, shotgun pellets, anything like that that says that this is a low pressure system where the gold is dropping out, or in this case where it's in transit, means that you could then take that information and apply it anywhere along the stream. As long as you cut left to right across your intended destination, so in this case I've got a very narrow stream so I can cut across the whole lot. If you're on a big river, you want to just look for the inside bends where the large gravels might be accumulated. Where those large gravels are, trench straight across it, and you will find that pay streak in there somewhere. I'm about to show you that gold. I didn't find much because I've only done 9 pans so far this morning, so I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, hit that subscribe button so I can make this channel better for you guys. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and check out this gold. I'm out.